Hello everyone, Jay Todd here at the Global Gaming Expo. I've caught up with Mr. James Siva, the chairman of the California Nations Indian Gaming Association. Did I get that correct, sir?
That's correct, sir.
All righty. We're here talking about California sports betting. There's a big vote coming up. The session just wrapped up where everyone was discussing it. I thought who better to get a good perspective about what's going on over there. So would you let everyone know maybe what's at stake here and what the different choices are that voters are going to have when they go to the polls in just a couple of weeks?
Yeah, well, absolutely. You know, there are two propositions that'll be on the ballot coming up in November. Prop 26, which is the tribally backed initiative, and then also Prop 27, which is a commercial initiative put forth by, you know, the big sports betting operators, the FanDuels, the DraftKings of the world. So those are the two competing initiatives that go forward. And really, what's at stake is the protection and continuation of tribal exclusivity. Prop 26 would allow tribes to have in-person sports betting in our brick and mortar facilities, as well as expanding other gaming offerings to include Vegas-style craps, roulette, so kind of round out the entire offerings that we have currently. It's very straightforward. It's kind of an incremental step to move us into the sports betting industry. It's quite a bit dated initiative, originally written and put forth in 2019, got delayed because of COVID, but I think it still holds up to the test of time, and I think there's a lot of great benefits for tribes across the state with Prop 26. Prop 27 would really have a foundational change of how gaming in California happens. Right now, tribes are the operators. This would allow an outside entity, a non-tribal entity, to come in at the same level as tribes and also be an operator as far as gaming. And that would have huge ramifications for how gaming moves forward in California. And I think that's the biggest thing, because sports betting, even online, you know, there's not a ton of revenue behind it. There's not a lot of money to actually be made. But what's at stake is the future of who is going to be an operator in California. Is it going to continue to be tribes? Is our exclusivity that's been, you know, granted by the voters of California twice upheld and respected? Or is it going to start to open up the market to non-tribal interests? Both could pass. And in California, you know, with their proposition system, it's a bit strange. Like, you just need 50% plus one. But usually if you have competing initiatives, the one with the higher vote count would take precedent. But the writers of Prop 27 specifically included language in the initiative that it would be complementary to 26, and that if both pass, they would both go into effect regardless of which one has more votes. So they thought ahead to that concept. So there is a chance that they both pass and they go into effect, and there's also probably a bigger likelihood that they ultimately both fail. The voter, typically, if you have two initiatives on the same subject, they don't know what to do, they get confused, and a confused voter votes no.
Well, that leads me to my last question of what happens if neither one of them pass, because at that point, California would just go on as it is with no sports betting, and you'd have to look at next year.
Yeah, and we've talked about that very real likelihood of that happening. And I've said it in multiple settings here at G2E last year, you know, CNIGA, that tribes can live with the status quo. If everything fails, we can live with the status quo as it is now. The operators, the commercial operators, cannot, because they need an entry point into the market. They want an entry point into the market. So if they both fail, it's a win for the tribes.
Okay, well, from a player perspective, let's certainly hope that Californians can enjoy sports betting like the other states out there that already are. Mr. Siva, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate your time.